What's up, everybody? Welcome to the R3 Security YouTube channel, where we are bridging the gap. All right, today we are looking at the Cloudgoat scenario called DataSecrets. There's a few things you see on your screen here. First thing you see is a very handsome young man up at the top right. That would be yours truly. And then just below that, you see a very small view of my notes. That should be just enough to tell you that, hey, it's a good idea to take notes. Moving clockwise, here you see our subscriber count, our little bash game. When you bash that like button, the subscribe button, when you donate, we're killing the monster, and those HP points go down. To the left of that, you see a mouse and a keyboard. All right, here you can see that the scenario, the AWS scenario, has spun up. AWS is the Amazon's cloud services, and I'm taking my access key and secret key, basically your login information, and I just dropped it into my notes. And here I'm opening up Paku, and we are going to be starting a new session, and we're going to be calling this session Data Secrets, because we are in the Data Secrets room. Just underneath that, you can see the keyboard and mouse. The point of that is so that you can see what I'm doing on my keyboard and mouse, but because I'm working on a VM, it doesn't always work. Just above that, you saw where I just hit set keys, and here in this big guy here, that is my CLI. I'm working in a Kali Linux VM. So I named this key alias startup because it's the startup alias. It's our first alias that was given to us when we started up or spun up the Cloudgoat scenario. And here's where I put in my access key and my secret access key. I'm getting those from my notes and putting them here to get started with this scenario. And you can see there in my notes, I am going through my notes. You see that there's already a bunch of stuff there. It's because I've already done this once before. So the first thing that I'm going to do is run ec2 enum. And I'm going to make sure that I set my region to US-East-1. There's a reason for that. It's because we know that that's the region that this is in, and otherwise it would enumerate all the regions and it would take forever. So ec2-enum is enumerating all of the ec2 instances. So there's the enumeration. Paku makes it so easy. Paku by Rhino Labs. Learned all of this from Tyler Ramsby. Shout out to Tyler Ramsby and check out his channel. And that's all the enumeration for the EC2s on in this particular environment. I take all that information and go where? Drop it in my notes. Then the next thing that I do is I download user data. See that? Run ec2 __ download user data. And then I make sure I put the instance ID in there. Now you can see that I'm changing tabs. I'm changing tabs from the Paku tab, and now I'm making a tab specifically for, this is either I'm making a terminal tab or an SSH tab. Yeah, I think this is a terminal tab because it downloaded our information to this area here, and now I have to find that in my EC2, or I'm sorry, in my VMs, in my host VMs files, and then open that up. And when we open that up, we will have the information that we need to take the next step. That information right here, we see the IP address of the EC2, and we go a little bit deeper into this file, and we find EC2 user data. We're going to cat or concatenate or basically look at all the user data in that .txt file, and we're going to put that in our notes as well. Here you can see we have a Cloudgoat instance password. That's probably something that we want, right? All right, so we just cleared our terminal. And now we're opening up a new tab in our terminal, and now we are going to be SSHing into this environment, into the Data Secrets environment. And I'm even color coding my tabs for myself. You can't see my tabs because I have it covered up by my professional website up there. But I've got 3 tabs open right now. The Paku tab, the terminal tab, and here we're opening up the SSH tab. And now we're SSHing in. SSH, and then EC2-user is just the baked in username for an EC2 instance in AWS, and then and then there is the IP address that we got in the previous step. And now we are SSHing in with the password that we got from the previous step. So there we are. We have just SSH'd into the EC2. If you don't know what an EC2 is, in the description box of this video, you'll find the Griffin's scroll of cybersecurity. Go there and go to the information section that has tools and terms. Go specifically to terms, and there is a good write-up there describing what exactly an EC2 is within an AWS environment. I'll tell you that it is unique to the AWS environment. Not that AWS is the only service that provides what an EC2 is, but that's just what AWS, EC2 is what AWS calls this particular piece of software. We're going to slow down for just a second here because this was a learning moment for me, what we're about to do here, and I want it to be a learning moment for you too. So we just SSH'd into the EC2. The EC2, it has an IAM role attached to it, just like a person can have an IAM role attached to them. Their login credentials. Think of the login credentials as an IAM role with its own specific set of permissions, right? That's what we're looking for here is permissions. So just like a person has their particular permissions that are associated with their login credentials or their IAM role, the EC2, just like a person, has its IAM role and its login credentials and its particular permissions. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to find those IAM role credentials so that we can log in as the EC2, as its IAM role back in Paku. And we're going to try to see what kind of permissions it has so that we can see if we can get any privilege escalation or if we can find our flag. So let's do that now. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to query the IMDS API or the IMDS database. Before we do that, though, we need to know what the IAM role name is for the EC2. And we can do that using this particular command, which I will break down here for you in just a second. All right, so let's break this command down. Curl curl and then the URL. The way that this URL works is it's querying the API for the IMDS database. First, you put in the 169.254 doubled. That is the IP address, and that's the same. That IP address is the same every time when you're querying this database in this sort of instance. And then the remainder is the proper file path. The proper file path for the security credentials that we're looking for. And in this particular instance, the way that it's set up is that when we run this command, our bash script, you see there CGEC2 role, and then this is our role name. That is our IAM role name, and we need that information in order to do further querying of the API to the AWS IMDS database. So we're going to do that now just by adding the role name to the end of that file path, and then we should receive our security credentials that we need to go back into Paku, set the new keys, and to move forward. And because this is an EC2, you'll find that it has a session token as well, because these security credentials are temporary, as the nature of an EC2 instance is temporary. So you saw me struggle there a little bit, but now there we have it. There is what we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it into my notes. And now we're back in the Paku tab. So now we're in the Paku tool, and we are going to sign in as the IAM role of the EC2 instance. So that was a learning moment for me. If that was a learning moment for you, please do me a big favor and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and do all the social stuff and share this with some of your friends and see what they think about it. If you, I'm pretty new to these things. Everyone's always learning, right? So if you have some constructive criticism, leave it in the comments below. If you think this was great, tell us in the comments. I want to know what you have to say about this, and we can share information together. And again, check the description box for the Griffin's scroll of cyber security, where you will find all kinds of useful information, especially terms defined from a cybersecurity perspective. All right, moving on. Here we are in Paku, and we are going to now see what kind of things we can find from the IAM role of the EC2 instance. We just basically logged into a new, we just moved from the SSH back to Paku. In Paku, we set the keys with the new information, and then we enumerated Lambda. Previously, we enumerated EC2, and now we're enumerating Lambda. And in enumerating Lambda with the new keys, which had Lambda permissions, we found these secret keys here as well. And now we are setting those keys. We're calling this DB user. I'm going into my notes now, and I am finding the user access key and the secret key. And then you can see that the session token, is already saved in there, but we don't want that session token because this is a new user. I'm looking here thinking it might be clear to clear that, but it's actually just C. And there we go. And now you can see I'm about to set the keys again to double check and make sure that C actually worked. If it did, this whole session token won't be there saved in the memory. And there we go. I did it right. The keys have been saved to the database, and we are now the DB user. This is the third user now that we've signed in as. First one was the original credentials. The second one was the SSH. And here, SSH provided us with these, with the credentials that we needed in order to enumerate Lambda and Paku. And here we are. What did we just do? Oh yeah, okay, so now that I'm in, I'm just doing a simple who am I to make sure that I am actually the most recent set of keys and secret keys. And now we're going to enumerate secrets. So run secrets __ enum region US East -1. And there we found one secret. I'm highlighting those and putting those where? Right, putting those in my notes. And here you can see where the secret was saved to my VM. So I'm copying that and then jumping over here. You can see the 3 tabs. Paku is a brighter color. I think that's yellow. I'm colorblind. Terminal, I believe, is red, and SSH is like a light blue or something like that. But here we are in the terminal, and we are copying over the file path from Paku to change directories into, and then we list the files inside of that directory. We find the secrets manager directory, and we are about to change directory into the secrets manager. Now we're going to ls-la for listing the various files, and we find the secrets.txt file, and there is our final flag. That's that. Now, this is not, my friends, this is not what it really looks like to hack. I just gave you the highlights, one step after another, and it took 11 minutes. In real life, this took me about an hour, and recording this was the 3rd time I had done it, and I already knew all the steps. I had them sitting right out in front of me. And this was my very first time doing it. It was probably a couple of months ago, the first time that I went through this, and it took me several hours over the span of many days to go through the DataSecrets scenario in Cloudgoat for the first time. So when you're on the struggle bus, don't get down on yourself. You're going to get through it. Just stick with it. God bless the work of your hands, and shalom. I highly suggest you going through this challenge yourself. It can teach you the critical importance of thorough enumeration. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to check out my website, there will be an executive summary there for purchase if you want to see exactly what a pen test would produce for this kind of environment to tell the dev team how to harden your security. Now, if you want a personal penetration test for your environment, that is also available at the website as well. Smash the like button. You know, don't just click it a little bit. Break your mouse. Like mousetrap. Like wham! Smash that like button. Break that mouse. Hit the like. Or I'm sorry. Have I been all that for the like button? No. Subscribe. Subscribe to this channel. Check it out. Share it with your friends. We shall see you in the next one.